Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, I want to take a look at a humor magazine. Yeah. This is Cracked. I have, I think 5 issues here. And unless I have one or two more squirreled away that I don't remember about, this is all that I've got, even though it's a long running mag. Okay, first I want to mention a YouTube channel called Little Cozy Nostril. That's a fun one. They got some stuff on some classic old cartoons and animated shorts, and some and a whole series on Robert Crumb comics. And then remind you about my books, which are available. Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology, some humor and some adventure, and my new one, Bizarre Brain Comics Presents Heroes, which is has some superhero and some a little bit of science fiction and some horror stuff in there. Both available online from Amazon and Barnes & Noble online store and thrift books, etc. Other online book outlets. $7.99 a piece. Okay, now here we have Cracked magazine. Okay. And of course, Cracked is an American humor and satire magazine published from 1958 to 2007. And I didn't know it ran that long. I hadn't seen new issues of Cracked in probably 30 years. And 30 or 35 years. It was the most successful and longest running magazine, longest lived magazine, running on the success of Mad magazine. The founding editor was Saul Brodsky, who you may know from the 60s and 70s, early 70s, before he passed away, at Marvel, as both an editor and artist. And it was the publisher had different names, whether it was changed hands or just changed names, I don't know. It was published initially by Major Magazines, then Globe Publishing, and later Mega Media. And it was conspicuous in its imitation of Mad regarding layout design, and brand of humor and satire. And even had a funny mascot similar to Alfred E. Newman in the form of the silly janitor Sylvester P. Smythe. That's him right there. That's Sylvester P. Smythe. He was on all or most of the covers, just like Alfred E. Newman was. After it ceased publication in 2007, the name was bought for use online with Cracked.com and seen primarily on YouTube as a humor channel with cultural commentary. Although I haven't seen any Cracked recently. I used to look at it all the time, watch it all the time. Many creators came over from Mad after some editorial dispute. And the cover of #1 was done by Bill Everett under the editorship of Saul Brodsky. Yeah, remember Bill Everett, the creator of Amazing Man and most notably The Submariner, and did a lot of work for Timely, Atlas, and Marvel. Yeah, said and numerous covers, as well as interior. A lot of the interior art was done by John Severin, who was known as the house cartoonist. For most of its run, most of the covers were done by John Severin. Now this is kind of interesting because remember, this is decades worth. I guess he was there for like 40 years. And this is at the time when, okay, John Severin was doing Billy the Kid for Charlton, and working on Sergeant Rock and other war comics at Marvel, and doing King Kull with his sister at Marvel, and then inking. I just looked at his name. I just looked at him. The Hulk for over. I'm suddenly drawing a blank, and mere minutes ago was just reading one of his comics. Anyway, on inks on the Hulk, and then back to various other things, and again war comics, the Nam, in the 80s, etc. All that time he was doing all that stuff. He was at the same time working on Cracked, so he was producing quite a bit. That's John Severin was. He's doing some of the other artists and writers as well. Later covers were done largely by Bill Ray. I accidentally put Bill Ward because Bill Ward is also one of the artists. And it was a training ground for artists such as Dan Close and Peter Bagg. Some of the other Mad artists who worked at Cracked were Jack Davis, Will Elder, Al Jaffe, Don Martin, and Basil Wolverton. And of course, Bill Ward. He didn't do anything for Mad, but Bill Ward, for example, was good girl cartoonist. He did a lot of sexy and sexual cartoons for men's magazines and the like, all through the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and including some of the comic strips that some of those men's magazines carried, not just the single panel gag cartoons. And he did a lot here. So we'll just start looking at these. I only have a few. We will take a little look, and I won't look too deeply in these because I think there's probably at least a couple here that I want to go do deeper look into. This one, this is I think issue 44 from. Look at that! It's only 25 cents. John Severin cover, and this is from 1965. You see, and as well as just the humor stuff, you can't make out that one very much. But they would have a lot of gags using stills from TV and movies, TV shows and movies, with humorous dialogue balloons. And as you can see, it's very similar to, if you've never read it, very similar to the stuff in Mad magazine. And a lot of people, I guess it was kind of a second-rate mag. Sometimes I think I liked it more than Mad. I used to get it, probably got it more than Mad. Both were just sporadic. And most of those old issues I don't have anymore. This one's better late than never. That's really nothing on that one. But John Severin was so identified with it, as I said, it was the house cartoonist. Always the one that they'd fall back on. But especially later on, some of the cartoonists, when they were doing their stuff, they would put "not by John Severin," and then put little Severin gags and puns in their artwork. And so, yeah, see some of the other cartoonists, regular gag cartoons that you'd see in regular magazines. This one is from 1974. This is one that I bought off the rack, and I loved it so much. I read it so many times. And at this time, it's listed as Dell. But this is one that they're having a parody of the Three Musketeers. But they're including other things from the time. $6 Million Man, Billy Jack, and Kung Fu. We take a stab at this. And this was the very big, successful 1970s version with Michael York and a great cast, Raquel Welch. They had the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers. Well, this was from parodying the Three Musketeers before the Four Musketeers came out. And, of course, John Severin cover. Letters. And then here is and John Severin's parody of the Three Musketeers. Oh, and it looks just like, I mean, his great work. Looks just like Michael York. He's a young Michael York. Three Mascoteers. They did such a great job. You might want to look at some of those. But as I said, it's coming apart because I read it so much. I loved that particular parody. Weight Watchers meeting. Some other stuff. This is some Bill Ward here. He was the one known for the very sexy women in his cartoons. And that's from 74, number 121. This is number 146 from 1977. Correct. And this is, of course, has their parody of Star Wars. This is when Star Wars was, I mean, just in the theaters. John Severin. Oh, and also, let's show you on this one, because they had little cartoons on the back, single page gags. Star Wars with a Z. John Severin, 007. They probably used that gag. And again, the great resemblances to the actors, his caricatures. What's neat is that this has a bunch of stickers featuring, I don't know if you can see that, featuring the back issues of Cracked. And that's great. Great to see. And there's probably very few that still have those stickers in them. More stuff. Here's one. There's another Bill Ward. Now you can see, if you're not familiar with him, how incredibly sexy he drew his women, and he was well known and popular for that. And here's one that's surprising. It's not Severin. And here's one of the Severin gags. This is by Howard Nostrand, who's also a Marvel artist. Did great resemblance. This is doing the movie The Deep. But then he's got a little gag up here. Miss T-shirt. It's got all these little fish, and it says, "The fish drawn by John Severin, don't they suck?" And stuff like that. And then Oscar Blada, doing his cartoons on the back. Now here's jumped several years. This is 1987, and this is Bill Ray. I don't think this has any Severin in it at all. So I think this is after he left. Yeah, and or not as regularly. And this is, of course, Cracked. It has stuff about Stallone from the movie Cobra. I think this is from Commando with Schwarzenegger. Has G.I. Joe. And the funny thing is that this was has a parody of the Stallone movie Cobra, which came out that year. And just so happens, and here's Transformers. And it just so happens, and there's, of course, Sylvester P. Smythe. Just so happens that just a few days ago, I happened to have watched Stallone's movie Cobra. And I think it's the first time I've seen it since I watched it in the theater when it came out. And this is a spread wraparound cover. And it's Cobra. This is written by Mort Todd and drawn by Bill Ray. And all these parodies were great. I might do some more. Oh, and yeah, some more of their photo funnies. The Fightin' Cracked Lens, still from movies and stuff. All kinds of fun stuff. And this one this is from 1988. This is not a regular issue. This is a special issue. And it's Wild, Weird Westerns, Laughs and Thrills. And this is basically reprinting a lot of Western-related stories and gags. And look at this great, magnificent, I don't know if you can see it very well. This is a John Severin cover illustration. He even did the small inset up here. This is all kinds of scenes and characters from Western movies throughout the 20th century. And again, great resemblances to the actors. And some of the, like something here's the fictitious version, and then right next to him is Wild Bill Hickok, the real Wild Bill Hickok, and stuff like that. There's John Wayne, what's his name from High Noon, the Lone Ranger, and Tonto. Hop Along Cassidy on a pogo stick. Oh, that's great. Another little gag on the back. And this has mostly, but not exclusively, John Severin art. Great Western movies, because he's known so much for doing his Western stuff. Here's some more of the gags featuring the Lone Ranger. Bat Masterson. This one was by, it doesn't say, I think that's Jack Davis. And yeah, stills. Oh, Kung Fu. It's even got Kung Fu in there. Yeah, their parody of Kung Fu. Kung Fu. John Severin. Again, it's marvelous work. McLeod. So more gags. I love this one, and I'm probably going to do a more in-depth one on that one, because I loves my westerns. So that is all I've got to show you this time, and I still took a lot longer than I intended. With featuring Cracked Magazine, humor and parody, satire. A lot of fun. I know if you're Mad fans, I've done a few episodes on Mad here before, both in comics and magazines and stuff. But I really liked Cracked as well. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. And do leave your comments down below. Did you read Cracked Magazine? Did you like it? Compare it to Mad Magazine. And which of these that you saw do you like the best? And remember, comics are art.